G'day guys, back with the Circle. I want to go a little change of pace today, a little off topic. There is an army which I kind of like, maybe even love, in the Age of Sigmar right now. I just can't justify getting into it. That said, what do I like, and why do I like it? Well, I like the Nighthaunt. That faction is just awesome. That is the right thing for Age of Sigmar. They took an existing part of a faction, banshees, wraiths, that kind of thing, and they expanded on it, built on it. Now, rather than just looking at typical wraith with a scythe and a banshee, there's a whole range now of different units. That's pretty interesting. They've actually done something cool with it. Whereas I don't like the Adonath Deepkin. I think they're stupid. This is cool, and it's hard to nail down what makes something stupid or what makes something cool. Maybe it's just because I think ghosts in general are cool. They've had a big impact on my life. You see, I grew up watching things like The Frighteners and Fantasia. Now, Fantasia, who hasn't seen Fantasia? A whole bunch of classical music set to cartoons drawn by Disney a long time ago. And there's a particular scene called A Night on Bald Mountain, and it used to terrify me as a child because, let's face it, kids are little pussies, and I was too. The imagery, the booming music, it was brilliant, and now it's something I can sit there and really enjoy, and that music doesn't have that same terrifying aura, but I can picture that story every time I look at it. And this reminds me of that, A Night on Bald Mountain. We have all these different ghouls and wraiths and ghosts of different kinds and banshees and other howling terrors of the night. And it's just cool. I really like this range. There are some that I don't like. Not a big fan of Reignor the Grimhaler, for example. Not a huge fan of the Hex Wraiths either. Pretty much where they've sculpted on like random bits of flame and energy and stuff, I don't like that. That's always been a gripe of mine. That's totally a personal thing. Some people may love it. Doesn't matter if you do or don't. Obviously the endless spells and Nighthaunt, things like that, yeah, they're dumb. Especially dumb because you look at the Scythe. The Scythe is cool, but the Scythe has skulls the right way up on it, on the blade. It's just a little detail like that where you're like, hang on a minute, that's a bit stupid. So it's, yeah, I know, I'm being pedantic, but that's something I don't like from this range. But Knight of Shrouds, awesome. Dreadblade Harrows, they are really cool looking, because instead of the flame, it's more of like the horses are blending into some sort of ethereal ghost at the back, where they become all wispy. That's a good way of doing an energy effect. Like Huron the Executioner has the little souls floating around his body. They're fine. That sort of thing is fine, and I just love these models. But why can't I do it? Why can't I get into the Age of Sigmar? Well, first, it's just not my sort of game. I'll be honest. If I want to play like a skirmish level game, Mordheim. That is my fantasy setting skirmish game of choice. If I want to play like a board game, that kind of thing, Shadespire. I enjoy Shadespire. It's got a lot of problems with power creep and cards, that kind of thing at the moment. It's not super well balanced, if we're honest. It's close though. It's a pretty good game. But Age of Sigmar doesn't do it for me. And if I want to play something that's bigger scale, well, I've got the Game of Thrones Kickstarter, and the Song of Ice and Fire has movement trays, it has different units I can equip and upgrade with generals, and balance-wise, it's really good. It's in a really good place, that game. So, do I really want to play Age of Sigmar? The answer is no. Especially with the buying cost. Like, getting into this is just hard. You know, and I'm a person who has a good job, earns decent money, I have disposable income. Okay? But when I look and I go, 10 models for $77, that's pretty on the nose. I mean, there's not much plastic in them. They're not hard to build either. So it's not like there's a heap of complicated parts, and there's nothing to justify that cost to me. Now, I'm not saying this as a whinging Australian this time out. I'm saying this as if I want to get into something, I want it to seem like good value for money, and I don't see that here. Some things I think are pretty good, like the Banshee, the Tomb Banshee, the Can Wraith. They are a pretty fair price. Crawlock the Jailer is not the worst price. Yeah, it's only 3 models for $70, but you compare that to, say, the Tomb Banshee, and 3 of her in a pack would be $66. So that's not too different. So there's a lot of price parity around here. The easy to build Glaive Wraith Stalkers and the Mere Morn Banshees are both very good value for Games Workshop. This is getting down to the old Metal Blister Pack prices right here, so that's totally fair. I'd buy that. That's good value for money. But you see, 3 sets of the Glaive Wraith Stalkers would get me 12 models and would cost me, what, $75? So $2 less than Grimghast Reapers, and I'd get 2 additional models, and they're just as easy to build. So it's hard to justify the value there. I don't know. Thing is, if I wanted to get into this, it would be for that larger scale game. And if you're playing that larger scale game, then you've got to commit to the rule book, you've got to commit to the army books, or whatever they're calling them now. You've got to buy the right miniatures, you've got to learn the whole game system from scratch, you've got to find the people to play against, and I don't know, as much as I love the models, I don't want to play them. I think they would be awesome to paint though. I'd love to paint anything from this range. I have never had a Can Wraith model. Never owned one. Even when I had a Vampire Counter army, I never owned one. I do have an old Metal Banshee though. Yeah. I don't know, it's just one of those things where I just felt like recording my thoughts, because here is something I find so cool, so awesome. But then the minute I look at the price, I'm just, oh no. I know it's horrible of me, but this faction has so much going on for it. They look cool, they're an interesting concept. What makes them cool? It's, I don't know, skulls, death, that iconography, that's impacting. Whereas elves riding on the back of floating turtles in the sky is retarded. There's no definitive line where it goes from being cool to being retarded, but the flying turtle, that kind of thing, come on guys, really? That's the grim dark place we've gone to. I don't know, maybe it's because this is like the last holdout of old school fantasy. This is still true to its roots. This isn't grim derp. I mean, the skulls in the Endless Spells Nighthaunt coming out of that big casket there, they're pretty grim derp. But other than that, this looks like old school fantasy. This is a faction that's designed to be terrifying. This isn't designed to be a happy children's faction. The ghosts aren't smiling. They haven't tried to humanize them. If anything, they've tried to make them look more evil. And that's great. So, yeah. I don't know. This is Age of Sigmar done right, in my opinion. But it's... I would put my money where my mouth is and buy this stuff if it was for a good price. But it's not for a good price. And in all conscience, how can I make so many videos criticizing Games Workshop's pricing structure and then reward them by buying something? I can't. So this is the thinking process that goes on in my world. But yeah, if someone gave me one and said, "Oh, Macca, do you want to paint this for fun?" Yeah, I probably would. Probably would be fun too. Anyway, Mac with the Outer Circle. Hope you all enjoyed this just random little video, and I'll see you all next time.